Susan is, of course, my dear friend, and Susan Allen has also created Heart Space Solutions so that you can learn how to create the most amazing, loving, intimate relationship possible. She has developed unique tools and skills that will allow you to create the deepest level of passion. Oh, how I love that word. Romance, understanding, peace, and cooperation, even when you are the only partner hearing this. So, some skills are based on Susan's experience as a certified mediator, and others are based on her, let's say, decades, kindly saying it, of study in India and in various other modalities. Susan offers a great gift, a complimentary 1-hour free telephone session so that everyone can transform their lives and their relationships, of course, your future as well. And I love this. Susan Allen always says if you do 100% of what works and 0% of what does not work, you can have the life that you dream about. Oh, Susan, this is a great opening. I am so excited to
Me too. Thank you. Thrilled to be back.
Now she's going to share all of her knowledge with us, and I get to ask all the questions. Oh my. Now I'm curious, Susan, what in fact is the biggest difference in life when we can have sex plus love?
You know, everybody that I work with has either the complaint that they don't have enough love in their life, or they don't have enough passion in their life, or they don't have either. And I'm talking about the people who are working with me on relationship issues. Obviously, if it's another issue, that's a conversation for another day. But it's so rare for a couple or an individual to be able to reach that level of two merging into one, which is what heart space really means. When I'm in my heart space and you're in your heart space, and we meet and we join, very much as Rumi described. So everyone seems to have the same desire. The only reason everyone isn't there yet, or everyone isn't even on the road to reaching it yet, is a lot of issues that have to do with fear, anger, hopelessness, despair, etc. So when negative emotions based on the past get in the way, and we don't realize that the state you're in right now may not be your goal, it may not be your destination, but let's talk about what you need to do right now, getting into a state of positive expectation and belief, for example, so that you actually can move towards it, work towards it. And when you learned how to drive a car or ride a bicycle, it was complicated. A lot of people forget that.
Yes.
You know, they think that the things they do know how to do were, you know, and they're not. It's just that you already went through the learning curve. So as an adult, I found in my own life, whenever I've been lucky enough to experience both, it makes all the difference in the world. Whatever you have to do to have that experience of sex plus love, even if it's not going to last. Sometimes it lasts and sometimes it doesn't. But my point of view is have it in your life, because this can truly be the greatest human experience you will ever have.
Actually, it's the ultimate connection.
That's right.
Thank you, Susan. Now, I'm curious, what is the biggest complaint that your clients have when they have sex and there's no love involved?
You know, it's an emptier feeling. It doesn't have the fullness. It doesn't have the peace. First of all, you don't get the same biochemical jolt that you get when you're with somebody who you love, who loves you. Even if it's just you loving that other person, you get a tremendous biochemical benefits that you don't get if you're with a sex worker, for example, or if it's friends with benefits, and you know that there's nothing else. It's like not only a glass ceiling, but it's a ceiling that's pressing down pretty much right onto the bed. So it has that sadness for most people, or it can create anger. People can get very angry. That, of course, is a precursor to rape in many cases, that men can feel so angry at women because the women don't respond, or they don't have the same feelings for the man that he has theoretically for them. I'm not so sure he did, but he believes he did. So these are very important issues. They're important for our mental health, important for our physical well-being, and important for our safety if we're women as well.
Perfectly said. Nothing but the truth here. Now, I know, Susan, that you studied extensively even in India, and there's an important training about this. Please share with us about what you've learned.
When I first went to India in 1972, I honestly believed that the Kama Sutra was going to be right there. It would come to life. All I would do is get off the plane, and everybody was practicing the Kama Sutra. Not so fast, Susan. Turns out that for thousands of years, people in India, by and large, have not been practitioners of the Kama Sutra and Tantric Yoga, which is the yoga of sex. You will find enlightened masters all over the country who are either into what you call yoga, which is the yoga of movement, or the yoga of breathing, or different forms of yoga. And you will find, of course, some who are experts in Tantric Yoga, but very few, because thousands of years ago, creeping morality stepped into India and Hinduism, and that was pretty much the end of it. But it still exists, and I've studied it for years because luckily there are plenty of books and videos, and now we have YouTube and we have everything else. So Tantric Yoga is an exquisite way to learn how to connect with yourself and then connect with your partner. There are many benefits, but basically we're talking about the benefits of love. So a deep emotional and intimate connection that, amazingly enough, Tantric yogic practitioners can experience with anybody. So that, it's a practice. They can practice in such a way that they can bring love forth. Not sex working, but bringing forth real love. On top of it, of course, there are many, many, many sexual techniques that are part of Tantra, because the whole point of Tantra is to have sex be an experience that lasts much longer. And because it lasts much longer, it gives the partners the opportunity to really be with one another, which isn't possible if sex is just you being in a frenzy.
Boy, it can be very intense and fulfilling, let alone healthy. Oh, my goodness. Yep, I think everybody's got sex on their mind tonight.
I hope so. I hope they do. Better have it.
Well, I know, Susan, that you said when there is love and there is also sex, that re-energizes and nourishes us. How is it really possible? Please explain this.
Well, when you have to recharge a battery, and there's a positive and there's a negative energy. I don't mean good and bad, positive and negative. So two humans, it's called the Shiva Shakti, but it isn't specifically a male and a female. It's two human beings. It's the energy principle, that two energies are able to create a vortex, or they're able to create an energetic field. And in that energetic field, remarkable, remarkable feelings and results occur. And so that's another reason to learn Tantra. I mean, there's so many benefits. People who love sex, my goodness, imagine how much you'd love it if you learned Tantra. People who don't love sex, imagine you could actually figure out what the rest of us are talking about if you learn Tantra. So there are only benefits to learning Tantra.
And that, I'm sure, is healthy for every cell in our being, correct? That's
right.
the point.
That's right.
The depth of that. Now, okay, we don't want to just be receiving this with a partner. We need to share it, correct.
Yes. And this, this now gets into areas of people who've suffered from all sorts of sexual trauma. So I was first drawn to a video that Charles Muir and his wife at the time created, which is the Female Sexual Ecstasy, Secrets of Female Sexual Ecstasy. It's a very old DVD. It's still on Amazon. I think it's going to be on Amazon for 100 years because it is that good. For $19, I believe, something like that, you can learn some of the most essential, extraordinary techniques. And it happens to be with a man and a woman, but the techniques aren't. The techniques have nothing to do with a man or a woman. They have to do with humanity. And just truly, truly beautiful. And who wouldn't want that? Who wouldn't want to share that deepest level of intimacy? So if you're afraid of it, or if you're beginning to sense in this TV show that there's a certain amount of niggling fear in the back of your mind, we're going to get to that later. We're going to get to what do you do about fear of intimacy? Because there's no benefit to hanging on to that. There's no plus at all. And what I found is every couple has a certain distance, what I call personal space and intimacy. So if this one moves forward, this one moves back. If this one moves back, this one moves forward. And that's no way to live a life. That's on automatic. So what we're talking about tonight is if you notice this about yourself, you could be the one who just stands there in your truth, in your heart, and motivate this other partner to feel safe enough to come closer. Motivate yourself to feel safe enough. And you'll notice over time when your ego is kicking in. I know I do. Oh, she's not for me. Oh, he's not for me. Oh, I'd never put up with that. Oh, what am I doing here? What would my friends? That's your ego. That's not real. So when you hear that, it's your mind messing with you and attempting to get you to back away and blow the whole opportunity that you have.
Oh my, and that's how it plays out. That's disappointing. Okay, so let's explore obsession. Sometimes people, they really do fake love. They do that. That's another question.
That's right.
We won't go there right now. Okay, let me be clear. So obsession, sometimes people, they take love to this level with or without the sex issue, right?
Obsession, sexual romantic obsession, in my opinion, is simply a form of OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. There is no benefit to continuing to wash your hands. There's no benefit to continuing to check the locks. There's no benefit to continue to check if the burners are on or not. That is an obsession. That is OCD. People take medication for it. I've found more successful ways to help them than medication, but you just, whatever you have to do so you don't spend 15 minutes at the front door, is obviously moving in the right direction. But what I've discovered is that sexual obsession, romantic obsession, is the same thing, where your mind keeps going around and you can't get out of the loop, I remember I was dating a guy a long time ago who had a lot of trouble with being on time. He couldn't be. And a lot of time with clarifying dates. He couldn't. And he was supposed to come to me at 10 o'clock at night. He was supposed to come to my home at 10 o'clock at night. And he didn't answer his phone, and he wasn't there at 11. And I called him like 3 times. And he wasn't there at 11:30. And I was concerned about him, though I knew he had this problem. I was still concerned. So I found myself going like right on the verge of this OCD thing. I said, this is ridiculous. And then at 2 a.m, he knocks on my front door. I didn't answer the door, and I said to him, what are you doing here? We've already broken up.
Perfect.
That was a cute line, but the relationship didn't last, obviously. But that's an OCD thing. So of course you don't want to be in a relationship of any kind with people who don't keep their word, who can't update you with whatever it is. I mean, that's no fun. But at the same time, I noticed I was starting to go in that thing, and you probably know people who've called somebody every 15 minutes, which is OCD, because if the person didn't answer the first 23 times, the odds of them answering the 24th time are pretty much what? Slim to none. So OCD.
There you go. Pay attention to whatever you're up to. You can break it or call Susan. No,
But not at 2 in the morning.
Oh, no, no, no. Then it's over. Now, Susan, I know that you do speak so beautifully about the two merging into one and how that is the ultimate joy in any relationship. And so I'm just curious, why do so many people have the ability not to be able to have that experience?
Well, first of all, let's talk about the benefits of that, So if you do that, you don't feel exhausted after you're with your partner. You feel enlivened, and your partner doesn't feel exhausted. Your partner feels enlivened. I think one of the biggest challenges that people have in relationships is that they're not sharing energy in a balanced way, so that instead of enough of the time, there's a mutuality of energy or mutuality of peace. If it's 2 in the morning, nobody's saying you have to get up and, make breakfast. But it's a mutuality. You don't want to be the woman who says, oh, he's done and he's finished with me and, maybe in 4 days he'll talk to me again. You hear those stories.
Yes.
So you don't want that. And you certainly don't want to hear the stories where the guy is saying, oh, that wife of mine, I don't know, whoa, my God, she's driving me crazy, It's that mutuality, that two that are so attuned, like tuning forks. If you know what a tuning fork is, you strike the tuning fork, and then over here, you get the identical response. So, E sharp, same thing. Whatever the sound is, whatever the tone is. Scientifically, you can call that osmosis, where you have 2 beakers of water. One of them, you put sugar in it. It's not connected to the other, so you've got a beaker of sugar water and a beaker of regular water. Then you connect them with a glass pipette, and suddenly you notice over time the intense sugar solution is now migrating over to the just plain water. And if you leave it for a certain amount of time, you get 2 beakers of sugar water. That's love. It's also lust. And when you have love and lust, and you have them with a partner who's on the same frequency, if you will, as you, what could be better? What could be more fulfilling?
You make it sound so sweet. Very scrumptious recipe. Thank you, Susan. Now, I know a big question is, how do you know when you are in love and in lust? When you're in love, that's a set of needs that are met and a set of emotions and physical responses in your body. That usually, if you're attuned to this, they're usually centered in the heart chakra. They may even be centered here in your hearing your beloved, you're speaking to your beloved, which is the throat chakra. You may even envision this merging of 2 to 1. So the 7th chakra, the 8th chakra, you just experience this, you dream about it, you long for it, you talk about it, you share images of it, you do whatever you can with one another physically to make it happen. That's that love experience. Equal, separate, is the lust experience, where you feel like you're popped corn. You feel like you've been in the microwave for a really long time, right? It's like, and you're just, my mother used to say, hysterical. My mother's description of that was, she was just like, she didn't know what to do first. The phone's going to ring, the doorbell's going to ring, and she was like that, when she was different relationships. And it's just, you feel thrilled. That's what you get, but it's different thrilled. So with love, you get like a deep, abiding peace to love and be loved. Everything's going to be fine. It gives you that
oxytocin high, which is a brain chemical, you know, which is the same brain chemical that you get from an orgasm, but here you're getting it just walking around thinking about your beloved. You're just peaceful, everything's going to be fine. Very much like pregnancy. You know, pregnant women are given all these great brain chemicals so that they'll decide to go ahead with the birth. That's what that's all about, the continuation of the species. With lust, you're feeling excited, you're feeling, just thrilled, you're feeling charged, full of a different kind of energy, just totally, totally different. And that's why you get both of them on the same day, in the same 15-minute period or so, same hour, you are going to think that you are in heaven, because you will be in heaven. It is heavenly.
That's the perfect solution to having heaven right here on earth.
That's why so many people are having sex, even as we speak, right now. Right now. In fact, one of my friends who you know, came with me years ago to the City Yoga ashram that used to be in Santa Barbara, which is a meditation ashram. Everybody's meditating, everybody's peaceful, nobody's into lust, nobody's even into love except for the guru, for the divine. So we're having a cup of tea at the end of the program, and he says to me, "What does everybody in here have in common?" So I said, "Well, we're all meditators." No. "Well, we all really love City Yoga, we love our gurus." No. I said, "Why don't you tell me what you see that everyone has in common?" He looks around like I'm an idiot. Everyone here has had parents who had sex.
A different view.
Well, it's true, So I was just stunned. Everybody that you meet, because we don't do cloning of humans yet, aside from Barbara Streisand's dogs, there aren't that many clones anyway, and that Dolly the sheep. But every human being, they're here because their parents had sex, and the result was that person.
Another viewpoint. Thank you for sharing that, Susan.
I'll tell him that we did it on the air. Yeah, he'll be thrilled.
And it was a good thing, because here we are, right? Now, what about the past, Susan? Doesn't the past block a lot of people from moving forward in a new relationship?
Yeah. If you talk to any of us who's ever said, "I'm done," right?
Oh, yeah.
I'm having a guilty look on my face, and I hope you are too. Any people who've ever said, "I'm done," that's in the past, you just have to know that they went through something pretty gruesome. Pretty gruesome and pretty grim. And so the idea was that if you don't open yourself up to the possibility of a relationship, you'll be protected from that hideous experience. Which is true. The only problem, and I'm here to tell you this, the only problem is you're also blocked off from everything else that you might benefit from in having a relationship. So you have to really be clear that healing the past is the solution. There are exercises that I take my clients through. And the best one, the easiest one, which is cutting the cord. And if you want, you send me an email and I'll tell you what it is. And basically you are literally cutting the cord between yourself and another person. And if there was unpleasantness, you want to do that. If there was something real that generated fear, anger, or sadness for you, and you decided you don't want to work through it, you don't want to do all the different things you might do to motivate this person to evolve, you just want to end the relationship, then be sure you ask me for this cord cutting exercise and you do it. Because otherwise there might be someone that you didn't even think of for years, maybe even 20 years or more. And suddenly that person reappears. And luckily there was nothing unpleasant about it, so you didn't cut the cord. But the bottom line is, if you cut the cord because you had unpleasantness, then you're protecting yourself. If you're just avoiding relationships, hoping that that's going to protect you, it's not enough. It doesn't begin to be enough. You need tools and you need a lot of skills, because there are people all over the place. And eventually somebody is going to suggest that maybe you would like to have something to do with him or her. And if you don't have useful skills, then either you're going to miss that opportunity that might be great for you, or you might enter into an opportunity that might be quite unpleasant for you. It's all about tools and skills.
So I'm wondering, do you really go about the process, you help people put the past in the past,
Yeah.
and then they have the opening, of course. Can you tell us more about that?
Yes, certainly. So let's imagine that the past that you need to put in the past is a excruciatingly painful relationship or divorce. Well, you've watched the show before, so you know that I'm raising my hand, right? So you can't drag that with you into the future. You can't. You can't, because the health effect can be quite dangerous. The drain on your energy, it is like literally carrying 2,000 pounds on your back. Every day, every minute, even when you're lying down in bed, because you still have this fear, anger, and sadness. So in order to survive a terrible, terrible divorce, as I did, I had no choice but to do the healing exercises that I teach. Self-empathy, the 4 questions of inquiry have always been my favorites. I also do the 30-second video imaging of what I do want and erase what I didn't want. So lots and lots of skills. Again, if you want to learn about it, just call me, email me, text me for a free session. I'd be happy to do it.